Greetings from SEGi College, Sarawak. A very good afternoon and welcome to SEGi webinar series. So before we start, can you please tell us know your current location when you log in this webinar? You can comment in the comment there. So I noticed someone from Kuching. Hi, Sutin. Hi, Lister. From Kuching as well. Hi, we have friend from Sabah. All right. We are going to start in a few minutes. So while we're still waiting for the rest of the people, let's say hi in the comment there. Hi, Monorida from Sarike. Hi. Hi, Charles. Right. So we will start at 2:05 and we're still waiting for other participants to log in. So yeah, I noticed we have many friends from Kuching, Sarike, and also Sabah. Thank you to all of you for willing to spend your extra hour to attend our webinar session today. Hi, Angela from Sudirman. So our webinar will start soon. Okay, once again, thank you for spending your extra hour to attend our webinar session. Okay, so let me share with you the general content of our topic today, which is stress management and relaxation technique. Today, we will be sharing on the mental health issue among after the pandemic and how it can affect one's mental health negatively. So in this session, we will also try to share some tips and practical relaxation techniques to our audience. So together with us today is Mr. Sim Chia Wei. Hi, Mr. Sim. Okay, the registered and certified counselor from Bodhi Counselling Centre. So as a full-time counselor, he is passionate in providing counseling session and guidance program to the public. Also, Mr. Sim is one of the guest speaker of Red FM. So Mr. Sim, are you ready? Okay, so without further much ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Sim. Okay, over to you, Mr. Sim.
All right, thank you, Miss Ang. Hi, guys. Can you hear my voice clearly? All right, so today we are going to talk about some stress management and relaxation technique. So before we start, let me prepare my slide. All right, so guys, right, so before we start today, I will show you some statistics first, the current trend after this COVID-19 and the MCO effect. So this is what we can see every day from the news. Okay, Malaysians report high level of negative emotions during MCO. Negative emotions might include depressions, anxiety, stress, right, and many more. You can see. Yes, and this. And this is a very interesting statistic. You can see that employment type and the stress. So no matter what kind of employment that you have, there also stress that in them. So nobody spared from this COVID-19 and the MCO effect. There must be some, to some extent, effect on their mental well-being, and they might have some stress, and that's why today we are going to talk about stress management. Yes, undeniable, we do affect a lot by the COVID-19, but it is okay to feel stress for it, but do not let it affect your daily routine. Today we are going to learn how to surf and dance along with the stress. So before we start, I would like to introduce you guys first to the 3 key concepts today in this topic, stress management and relaxation technique. So for the first one, you have to understand that stress on a matter, it is all about emotional feelings. It is all about the emotional feelings. It is not the things that happens, but it is the feelings on how you feel and perceive toward the things that happen. But a lot of people, they confuse. They tend to mix up. They will think that the things that happen to me is the one that causing the stress. But actually, it is the way how you feel and perceive towards that thing that happened that causing you stress. Let me show you an example. Maybe we talk about during MCO. Okay, this are MCO. We are going back to school for the children, for the teachers. They are going to start to prepare for the materials because we are going to reopen the school. And some teacher, they might, to some extent, they will think that, yes, I feel stressed because of this thing, because before that, we all shift to online courses, online lecture, but now we are going move back. And there are some circumstances that we have to take care as well for the children's and for the education things. So this is they may have stress happen, but it's very important to understand that the things that happen, reopen of the RMCO, reopen of the school, is not the things that cause you stress, but it's how you feel and how you perceive towards this reopen of the school that causing you. Actions at that point. And then you rush to the bedroom to change, but when you come back, you see your crying daughter had neither finished her breakfast nor packed up ready for the school. And this is the effect of your actions. And what happens as the result? She missed her school bus. Your wife hurried to work. You take your daughter and school to school in your cars, and you're running late, so you are driving recklessly. And at last, you're still late. And to top it off, you find out you've forgotten important paper at home. And this is what happens towards the reactions, and you, what is your feeling at this time? You might feel stressed. You might feel very angry. Why this happened to me? All right. So the beginning of your day was awful, and it continued in the same way until the end. When you can't wait it for the end, coming home, you greet your wife and your daughter, but both of them are moody, and there is a tension between you and them. And this is the result. So, why have you had a bad day? Why is it really going on? What makes you really have a bad day? A, because your daughter split your coffee. B, your daughter missed her school bus and you had to take her back to school. C, there was a traffic jam and you are late to work. Or D, because you saw the wrong reactions to the situations. So guys, maybe you can have some interaction here first. So what do you think about this? What made you have a bad day based on the example that I gave earlier? Let me see the comment. So guys, what do you think? What makes you have a bad day? So what do you think? Is it A, because of your daughter split a coffee? Or is it B, because your daughter missed her school bus and you have to take her to school? Or is it C, because there's a traffic jam and you are late to work? Or D, because you saw the wrong reactions to the situations? Yeah, I see a lot of people answering. Yeah, most of them answer D. Yeah, some answer B. Yes, it's okay. Yes. Thank you for your response. So the answer is why you have a bad day. It's not because of the A, B, C, but because of C. Because you perceive the situations that your daughter spilled the coffee, so you feel very angry. So you take the wrong reactions. And after that, it makes you moody the whole day and make you stress about it. So actually the answer is D, because you show the wrong reaction to the situations. And it all can be different. How can it be different? Let me show you another example. So in these same cases, if the coffee is spilled on your trouser, your daughter is about to burst into tears. At that moment, you came down, you understand your feelings. Yes, you feel quite nervous about it. And then, okay, you say softly, it's okay. Just be more careful next time. And then you go to the bedroom and change and collect everything you need to the work. Then you get back to the dining room and see your daughter waving at you from her school bus and saying goodbye to your wife. You go to the work and arriving 5 minutes earlier and energetically greeting all of your colleagues. So this is the different result. If you take the different reactions, if you perceive it, the incidents, the things that happens differently, so you will lead to the different ending. So this is the first point. So stress is about emotional feeling, and it can be all different by how you perceive and how you feel towards the incidents. So let's see. And second things I want to talk about in this stress management is all related. So the first one is about the things. Okay, emotion. Stress is a negative emotional. It is how you perceive and how you feel towards that thing. Second, the key concept that I want to deliver to you guys is it is all about 90% to 10 rules. So what is it? But before that, have you seen this guy before? Do you know who is this? Stephen Covey. Anyone recognize this author? Oops, I just said authors. Oh, okay. I heard someone say that the audio is dropped out. Is it okay? All right. Okay, so this is about our 90 to 10 rules. So this is the author, the Stephen Covey. So this is a popular book. Have you read about it? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So in this book, basically it's talking about this principle. 10% of life is made up of what happened to you. And 90% of life is determined by you and your reactions to what has happened to you. So it means that actually things can all be changed by how? By your reactions, because we control 90% of what happens to you. Okay? So let's talk about this first. So a lot of people, they tend to confuse, they tend to blame that actually is the things happens and cause me stress about it. But actually, it is 10 to 9. So you have 90% of chances to change about it. So next time, don't say anymore that you can't change anything, you can't prevent this. Yes, some things happen you can't prevent, but you can change the reactions and you can lead to the different endings. So when coming to stress, if you can aware of your own response, you are already solving most of your problems. So what kind of response that you might have in stress when you're facing stress? Normally, we can categorize it into 4 responses. The first one is emotional response. So when we're talking about the emotional response, we might talking about the feelings. Like for example, you will feel angry, you feel burnt out, and then you feel forgetful, and then you feel very anxiety. That's your emotional response. All right. And then the second one is body biological response. So for body biological response, basically it can be like, for example, very tight. When I stress, I feel that my neck is very tight, or I have a stomach ache, or some might have what we say the sweat, the hand. They will have a lot of sweat from the hand. This is all the body biological response. All right. And the third, behavioral response. So behavioral response is basically what happens, what is your actions. For example, one might be craving for food. When having stress, they might want to craving for food, eating a lot of fruit, or they have sleeping difficulties, they can't sleep well, they can't sleep, or any others behavioral response. Maybe in terms of their behaviors, they tend to be forgetful, they forget what they want to do, or they tend to be sudden anger. They will burst into anger without any reasons. This is all the behavioral response. And the last one, cognitive response. So for the cognitive response, basically it's like the thoughts that you have when you're coming to stress. Like maybe you feel that you are not worthy, you feel that you are very unuseful, you feel that there is no meaning in your life, you feel that you are doing all the things wrong, something like that, the cognitive thoughts. And why I mentioned these 4 kinds of response? Because I believe that it is very important when coming to stress or coming to depression, anxiety, anything, it is very important for you to aware of your own body response or your own emotional response or your own behavioral and cognitive response. If you can aware that, you are already solving most of your problems. Why I say that? Because if you aware that of that, what response that you will took or what you will have during the stress, you can change the reaction, you can change the response, you can take different reactions toward it. So you're already leading the ending to a different ending. All right. So when coming to this up point, is there any question first before I'm moving forward? Is there any questions that you want to know more? Because just now I see that some comments about the audio drop out. So previous slide, do you have anything that you want me to mention? You want me to explain more about the previous slide? Right. So, okay, if no questions, then we proceed. So now, the second concept just now is when coming to stress, you have to be aware of what is your own response. So the next thing is, what can we do about these changes? So what can we do? Remember the 90 to 10 rules. We can change about the 10% what already happened to us, but we can always change the 90%, the way we see and how we feel towards it, towards the things that happens. So today, I will share with you a very simple method. We call it ABC method. ABC. Okay, A, accept the change. Accept the change that this thing has already happened. So look at the bright side of it. So how do you look at the bright side of it? You can ask yourself questions. Maybe, for example, the questions like, what do I get after I overcome this stress? Or what will I get if I'm able to pass this? How far will I go? How far will I learn from this? Or what is the lesson I learned from this challenge? These are all the questions that help you to look at the bright side of this challenge or the things that you feel very unpleasant. Okay? A, accept the change. Look at the bright side of it. Next, B, being with it. Being together and aware of your feeling. Always remember, it is okay if you feel angry, if you feel sad, if you feel very burnt out, when you're facing a lot of things, the things that happens. Being with your emotions, okay? Aware of your emotions is very important. Some people, they don't aware about it. They will just suddenly burst into it, and then they will take some reactions or take some actions that will lead to unpleasantful endings. Like maybe they will harm themselves. So this is what we don't want, what we want to prevent. How do we prevent? Be with it. Understand your feelings. It's okay. If you feel sad, if you feel anxiety, if you feel very stressed, it's okay. Be with it. All right? So next, C, channel it out and take the actions. After you being together with your feelings, after you aware what is your feelings, after you aware of 4 responses that you have, emotionals, body biologicals, behaviorals, and cognitive, then what is next? C, channel it out. You can go seek for help, talk to the friends, take some actions, maybe understand your feelings. Okay, now I should take some things to do. I should do some things. So take the action, channel it out. Stop being in that situation for a long time. It's okay to be in that situation for some times, but don't put yourself in that situation for a very long time. Okay? Take some action, channel it out. So with this ABC, you can do some changes. You can change the ending for it. All right, so I repeat again. A, accept the change. Look at the bright side of it. Ask yourself questions. What do you learn about it? What do you learn? What do you get from that challenge? B, being with it. Being together, aware of your feeling. It's okay to feel, to have some certain of emotion, negative emotions, but don't put yourself in that for too long, right? How do you don't put yourself in that for too long? C, channel it out. Talk to someone, seek for help, take some actions, change about it, all right? So before we start these topics, we do collect some questions from participants. So there are 4 questions that normally they are asking. The first one, how do parents manage their stress? How when they handle their children, academic, at the same time focusing on their work. Second, time management, work-life balance, unhelpful spouse, unsupportive school management. Third, people are still worrying about the post-MCO issues. Fourth, student readiness after the school reopens. Yeah, these are the maybe some popular questions. Some they feel a big challenge for them right now. So maybe we can have some interaction about this first before we moving forwards. And I will show you how to apply with the 3 concepts just now I mentioned. The first one, always remember that stress is a negative feeling, so you can change about it. 90 to 10 rules, and third, ABC methods. So maybe you can have some interaction first here with the moderators. So is there any questions that you want to ask?
Okay, Mr. Sim, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm interested with the 4th question, students' readiness after the school reopen. So as we all know, the Form 5 and Form 6 students are going to start their school soon. And then students from higher education institute, they will be starting their school, their class physically. So I worry that they are not ready for the school because they are so used to the online learning. So by using the method you teach us just now, what can we do?
So let's talk about the student readiness after the school reopens. All right. So, okay. So normally, first thing first have to identify first how stressed is the student or in adapting this changing. I believe that just now the moderator Ms. Ng has already mentioned that because of the student have already adapted to the online learning, and then now we have to shift back to the traditional method, going back to the school, and at the same time worry about the COVID-19, worry coming to the second burst. So yes, indeed, there is to some extent of the worriness. Okay, so first thing first, have to remember, check for your The things that we can't change that we can't go to school because this has already open. So this is a 10% that we can't change, but we can change the 90% of it, how you feel and how you perceive, right? So second thing, you have to aware of what kind of emotion that you have when you're facing this changing. For the teachers, for the student, student, they might feel that I will feel a bit stressed because I'm going back, and then I already adapt, very comfortable with the online. Now I have to go back doing all the traditional homework again. Yeah. And then the teachers, they might feel that stress about have to prepare the material again. And then how about the course? Can I catch up, finish it? Yeah. So ask yourself first, what is your emotion and what is your response towards these changes? What is your emotional response? What do you do at that time? What is your emotional at that time? Second, what is your body biological response at that time? Third, what is your behavioral and cognitive response at that time? It's very important for you to aware yourself first. What is your response? Third, we apply the ABC method. So accept the change. Ask yourself, what do you get after I can go back to the school? What do you get? You can meet up with your friends. You can interact with them face to face. We are not longer communicate through this platform, this online, this webcam platform. Yeah, this is some maybe the bright side of it. So you have to find out what is the bright side for you. Okay. B, being with your emotions. It's okay. If you feel that you are not ready, it's okay. You can have that feeling. Do not blame yourself that you can't have that kind of feeling. It's okay. But then you have to move to C. Okay, C, channel it out. Take some actions. So what do you do? Because this thing has already happened. You can only accept it and then you take some actions to change it. Okay, so what can you do? Yes, maybe we can think about the bright side and then we can go, yes, I go to school, I can enjoy, I can play with them. Yeah. And then for teachers, yeah, maybe the materials, online materials, when I'm preparing, I have to take care of my son as well. But if the school reopen, I can go back and then maybe I don't have to face two jobs together. I have to take care of my sons, my children, and then as well my works. Yeah, now I can separate it back to my previous normal life, the daily routines. Yeah. So these are some examples that you can use. So is there, yeah, right? So is there any questions? So basically, this is how you apply the ABC's method towards it. Okay. So let me get back to my slide. So, and then one more thing is I have to say that sometimes stress might be related to time management. Sometimes stress is not just caused by what happens to you, but it might also happen to your time management. Okay, poor time management will lead up to stress. Okay, so sometimes you have to remember, spending ton of time did not mean that one are productive or effective. You have to remember, being productivity and being busy is two different things. Okay, so learn how to give prioritize to the things that you want, because time management will do indeed help to reduce some extent of stress. So let's see what can you do in terms of time management. So tips that you can do: first, learn to prioritize your work. Prioritize it. Don't do it all together. Learn which one is the first, most important things that you need to tackle first, and following next. Second, focus one at a time. Okay, don't putting too high expectation for yourself, taking up a lot of things together. Take one at a time. Third, don't schedule up your time badly. This is a things that I believe that most of the people they will tend to do. They schedule up their time badly. How to schedule their time badly? Maybe for example today 10 to 5. Okay, so from 10 to 11 I have to do this. 11 to 2 I have to do this. And 2 to 3 I have to do this. 3 to 5 I have to do this. Totally no rest and very packed. So is it effective? The result normally we know. Basically, if you schedule out your time badly like this, normally at the end you might only able to finish one or two. You can't able finish all, and it will lead to the feeling of stress because you feel like I can't finish all of this. So remember, don't schedule out your time badly. Give some space out. 4, break it down. Chunk the things that you want to do into a simple and easier one. Okay, arrange it one by one. Create a to-do list. 5, stay away from disturbance. This is the challenge lah. I have to say, nowadays we can't avoid the social media disturbance, but try to make it some private space for you when try to do the things. Okay, last Pomodoro, the tomato time, 25 seconds for one task and then rest for 5 minutes and then continue 25 minutes and then rest for 5 more minutes. Yeah, this Pomodoro will help you to be more energetic to finish for a long task. For example, 2 hours. If you can use Pomodoro, you can separate it into 4 sessions. So you will feel more energetic to finish all these 2 hours. All right. So basically, this is a simple tips that you can do. All right. So before we moving forwards to the next part, always remember, stress, it might be an unpleasant experience, but if you can surf along with it, you will find out how far you can grow under the stress. All right. So next, we are going to talk some relaxation techniques. Yeah, these relaxation techniques today, I'm going to share, if the time permits, I will share another one. But for now, I'm going to share about this one, the emotional freedom technique, EFT, or what we call tapping. This is a technique that you can use if you find out you're currently suffering from incidents or the things that cause you have a very anxiety or very high extent of negative emotions. You can use these EFT techniques to reduce the anxiety of negative feelings, to get calm a little bit. All right. So before we start, I have to introduce you first. There are 9 points, tapping points in your body that you have to do during this EFT. All right. So for the first point is KC, karate chop. So the first point, remember this one. Can you see it? All right. The first point, karate chop. There are 9 points, 9 points. Okay. I will show you one by one. So the first point you have to do it is karate chop. Okay, karate chop. Can you see it clearly? All right. So the first point, karate chop, just below your hand, this one. Just tap like this. Okay. The first point, karate chop. Second point, the top of your head. Okay. So when you're tapping it, remember, you don't have to tap it like this, tap it like this. You just use 3 fingers. Okay. Just gently tap it. Right. So the second tapping point is your head, top of the head here. Third point, the eyebrow here. Not at the middle, but at the side of your eyebrow. All right. The third point is side of your eyes. All right. Just located right beside your side of the eyes. This is the fourth point. So the fifth point is under your eyes here. All right. Under your eyes. The seventh point is under your nose. This part. Okay. And then the 8th point, the 7th point is chin, under your chin here. Okay. The 8th point, collarbone here, the collarbone here. The 9th point under your arm. So you can just tap it like this. Okay. Can you see it clearly? These are 9 tapping points that you can use, that you need to tap. Later on, I will show you step by step how to use the EFT tapping points. All right. But basically, you have to remember first these 9 tapping points. Again, karate chop, top of the head, eyebrow, side of the eyes, under the eye, under the nose, chin, and collarbone, and lastly, under the arm. All right. So let's see next. So now I will show you step by step to perform this EFT for yourself. So before we perform the EFT, before you start the tapping, first, you have to identify first an issue that you want to resolve, or the issue that you feel very stressed, you feel very anxiety, that cause you have a lot of negative emotions, feelings. Okay. First, identify the issue first. Think about that issue. Think about one issue, only one issue. Don't go for 2 or 3. Just focus one at a time. All right. Identify one issue. After that, after you think of that issue, the second thing you have to do is you have to put a rank for it. 0 is not worse. 10 is the worst. So you have to put yourself, for that issues that you think, 0 to 10, at which level the intensity of that issue. Maybe you can rank 7, all right? So first, identify. Second, test the worstness first, okay? 0 to 10, put a rank for it. All right, after that, you have to set up a simple reminder phrase. So what is a simple reminder phrase? The sentences is like this. Even though I have this kind of issue, blah, blah, blah. For example, I have this kind of issue. I feel very stressed about the RMCO. I have to go back to my work. And I feel worried about who to take care of my son, who to take care about my children. Okay? Even though I have this issue, you're putting that issue. Then I deeply and completely accept myself and I love myself. All right? So this is a simple reminder phrase that you can use. Okay, I repeat again. So the phrase that you can use is, even though I have blah, blah, blah issue, I deeply and completely accept myself and love myself. Okay, this is the reminder phrase. Afterwards, when you're going to tap on the different 9 tapping points, you will repeat that issue. Even though I have blah, blah, blah issue, I deeply and completely accept myself and love myself. All right? All right, so are you ready? So I will going to show you the sequence. Right, so first, identify first. Maybe for this example, I will take about, I feel very stressed about this RMCO and going back to work, and this has disturbed my whole day. All right, so that's my issue. And then I put the rank for it, the intensity. I rate around 8 because this is quite disturbing. Okay, around 8. So the next thing is I have to set up the simple reminder phrase. Even though I have this issue about this RMCO and I feel very disturbed about going back to work, but I completely accept and love myself. Right? So we start. So when we start with the first point, karate chop. So when you do it, you just say, even though I have disturbance, emotional disturbance about going back to work after RMCO, but I completely and acceptly love myself. I accept and love myself. Okay. So the second point, just gently, maybe around, just mentions the simple reminder phrase, and then you perform the tapping. So even though I have negative emotional disturbance about going back to work after RMCO, but I completely accept and love myself. Eyebrow. So just 3 fingers. Even though I have negative disturbance about going back to work after RMCO, but I completely and acceptably love myself. So the fourth, side of the eyes. Okay, even though I have negative disturbance about these negative emotions after going back to work, but I completely accept and love myself. Okay, the fourth, the fifth. Okay, even though I have negative disturbance about going back to work after RMCO, but I completely accept and love myself. Even though I have negative disturbance about getting back to the work after RMCO, but I completely and acceptly love myself. And then this one, under chin. Okay, even though I have negative disturbance about getting back to work after RMCO, but I completely and acceptly love myself. Okay, can you hear me? All right, so next for the chin. All right, so even though I have negative disturbance about getting back to the job after RMCO, but I completely and acceptly love myself. Last, so even though I have negative disturbance about getting back to job after RMCO, but I completely and absolutely love myself. So after you finish all these 9 tapping points, then you rate yourself again. Rate the intensity again. Just now at 8. So what is the intensity right now? Maybe it will drop to 8 or 6. Then you can perform it a few times to check it, to reduce the intensity. After that, you feel that getting a bit calm down and okay already, then you only proceed back to the method that I teach you, A, B, C. Okay, this method, EFT, is for you at that moment to reduce out your negative emotional feelings. But after that, you still have to get back to face the things that happen. So you can use ABC to deal with it. All right. So, all right. So before we, because the time is quite up already. So before we finish this, I got a words share with you guys. So believe that what happened in the past are the best decisions that you make in your life, because without those past, it won't shape you into who you are today. This is the sentences that I believe, and this is what I practice in my day. So don't regret what happened in the past. Believe that without those past, it won't shape you into who you are today. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you, guys. So if you do you have any questions? I think that we are coming to Q&A sessions, right? Yeah. So you can ask any questions that you want to know more about this stress management and relaxation technique.
Thank you, Mr. Sim, for the sharing. So indeed, 10% of our life is what happens to you, and 90% is determined by how we respond to the situation. So when come to stress, don't forget the first thing to do is to aware your own responses. So now we open this session for Q&A. Anyone who has question, please write on the comment box. Okay. So we have a question for MS counselor. Some people think to be with a feeling equals reflecting their emotion run wild and has not helpful in ABC method. Could you please talk a little bit on this?
All right. So yeah, regarding to these questions, some people think to be with the feelings equals with letting the emotion runs well, hence not helpful in ABC methods. Yeah, so this is very important for one's to able to aware first. So aware their feeling, and then being with that feeling. Being with that feeling does not mean that let the emotions run well and stuck in that situations for a very long time. But aware of that feeling is you're aware that okay, it's okay. If you need some times to get back to looking at these situations, then give yourself some times. But eventually it has to back to that things, the 10% that happens. Okay, and then how do you adapt it? You're using ABC to deal with that things, 10 things. All right. So I hope I do answer these questions. Can you hear me? Right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sim. We have another question from Angie. How can I do when I am affected by others' feeling?
All right. Thank you, Angie, for your questions. What can I do when I'm affected by others' feeling? Yes. So when coming to what we say, these guidance counseling, we always say before you help others, always help yourself first. So what can you do if you are affected by other feelings? Then you have to learn how to cut off from that feelings. Maybe if you feel that you can't able to extend anymore from that kind of feelings that they are sharing with you, maybe your friends, they seek you as a very good listeners. They find you and talk to you, share all their emotions with you. But to some extent, you feel that very burden, overload with these kind of emotions getting into you. So you have to learn how to cut it off. Okay, you have to get back to your self-care. You have to learn how to cut it off. And if you find out that you already can't cut it off, you're stuck in that situations, you're stuck in the others' feelings, then you have to talk to somebody else. Maybe talk to some professionals, maybe like the counselors or your guidance teachers. Yeah, someone that can provide ears for you at that moment. But the most important thing is you have to learn to cut it off first. Okay, remember to self-care first before you can help others.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sim. We have another question from Hilary Hill. Good evening, Dr. Sim. Let's say if the person is having anger and agitated, should we approach him or her to calm down, or should we let him or her cool down himself or herself?
All right. So thank you, Hilary, for your questions. These are very good questions. So if one person is having anger or agitated, Should we approach him or her to calm her down, or should we let him or her to cool down himself or herself? So when you asking me these questions, I think about the PFA, the psychological first aid situations. So actually, this situation is quite similar. So either to approach or not to approach is basically depend on the situations. But eventually, we encourage that if you feel that this person is having the anger and agitated, we can approach them. But if they do not or they can't accept our lending hands, okay, when we're trying to help, trying to provide ears to listen, they at that moment they want the time to for alone. They want the time, the space for themselves. Then we respect their choice. We respect them. We give them some choices first. We give them their space. But eventually, we will get back to them as well. We will try to get back. So are you okay? So after I give you some time, are you getting better now? Yeah. And then the way how you approach them, you do not, we do not encourage that you're going out there and then you're asking, okay, so what happens to you? Are you okay? You try to be with him. Just try to be with her or be with him. Don't try to ask a lot of questions because at that moment they can't, they are in that emotions. They can't have a lot of like rationals respond for you. So just try to be with him. When you approach, try to be with him. Maybe just sit beside him. Just maybe a hand beside, just hugging him. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time. And that's also one of the way that you can approach and calm her down. Right? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Sim. We have another question from Angela. Can you please explain more on tomato time Pomodoro?
All right. So for the tomato time Pomodoro, actually it's a method that they are not trying to give you yourself a very long time doing a task. For example, for Pomodoro, actually there is a apps in the Play Store as well. So basically there is a timer. So you will set it for 25 minutes doing a task that you want to do. So you just set the timer for 25 minutes. So after you complete that 25 minutes, or when the alarm is already reached ring, then you just stop your work. Take 5 minutes walking around, standing around, walk around, take a deep breath, 5 minutes to regenerating yourself. Then get back again, 25 minutes. That's about the Pomodoro. Because some people, they will tend to, how we say, doing it in a mode. So for example, some people, they don't like Pomodoro. They will feel that if I gotta get into the mood, I can do it maybe for 2 hours direct, no problems. Yeah, but for some people, they can't do it for that such long time periods. So if you can use Pomodoro, you just split it up. So you get time for yourself to do a break, and then you can get back energetically to your work as well after 25 minutes. So basically it's 25 minutes. Basically Pomodoro go for 2 hours. 25 minutes with 5-minute rest, 25 minutes with 5-minute rest, 25 minutes with 5-minute rest. So go for 4 hours. After that, finish 2 hours, they will take a longer break, maybe half an hour, then only get back to their work. So that's a bit about the Pomodoro. But if you want to know more, you can go for the apps, go to Play Store, download the apps, and you can try out. It's quite simple.
Thank you, Mr. Sim. So before we end the session today, Mr. Sim, do you have anything to say to our audience?
What I say, I want to say back the last sentences, which is the slide just now. That's also what I believe. Believe that what happened in the past actually has a meaningful to you, has a meaning in your life. All right. So you just need to find out what is the meaning that happens. I believe that you will get motivated, and then you will be not that stuck in that past. That's what I feel personally. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sim. So, thank you to all the participants. We do hope that this session can give us a better understanding in maintaining a good mental health in post-COVID-19 world. So, to all participants, please click on the link or scan on the QR code given at the end of this session for your ESET registration. Thank you.